Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show. I'm Jeff Heggie of Jeff Heggie Coaching, jeffheggie.com, and I'm with my co-host Heidi Anderson of ECI Secure Pay. And we are excited today to have Amberlys Lago with us. Now, Amberly and I met, we did a virtual book tour together, and it was just really cool to get to know her and follow up and see what she's doing and more about her and her book and what she's doing. And so I was excited when she agreed to be on our show today. And so I want to just give you a brief introduction, and then I'll kind of turn it over to her and give her an opportunity to tell you some more. So Amberly is a health and wellness coach. She's a TEDx speaker, podcaster, and leading expert in the field of resilience and transformation. She is the best-selling author of True Grit and Grace, and empowers people around the world by sharing her story of how she turned a tragedy into triumph. Through her book, coaching methods, and workshops, she has curated unique tools to teach others how to tap into their superpower of resilience and persevere through any of life's challenges. She offers hope and solutions to anyone like her living with chronic pain to live life of fullness. Amberlys has most recently been featured on NBC's The Today Show, The Doctors, Hallmark, and contributed to magazines such as Shape, Fit Pregnancy, Health, Disability Magazine. And we were just talking before the show started, and we said, you know what, it's pretty cool to have someone upgrading from the Today Show to the Jeff and Heidi Show. So it's a privilege to have you with us, Amberlys.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. And I said, well, I am upgrading. I've been listening to your podcast and following your social media, and was saying before we started recording how much I enjoy seeing all that you're doing and how inspired I am by all that you've created. So I'm grateful to be here. And, you know, when you said expert in the field of resilience, I'm like, you know, I'm only an expert in that field because I have fallen so many times and failed and started over and hit rock bottom. So it's really my joy and my passion to teach others how to get through some of those difficult challenges and failures. And I think over the past year, we've all had quite a few challenges, and I'm just grateful that the world is starting to open up again and starting to travel again. And I'm grateful to be here with you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Well, let's get right into it. You've had a tough journey. Tell us about how you developed into this. What happened to get to you to this point where you can be an expert on this?
Well, you know, I've been active my whole life. I was a dancer. I was in track. I actually loved to run, and I set years ago. I'm sure this record has been broken a long time ago, but I set a record for running the fastest mile in the state of Texas. And so it was my joy just to run and be active. And then I got into fitness training, and everything changed in the blink of an eye when I was coming home from work on my motorcycle and I was hit by an SUV. And when I go back to that moment, I mean, I remember every detail of the accident. Laying in the street, one of the first thoughts that I had, I mean, I looked down at my leg and it was crumbled into pieces. There was blood everywhere. I didn't realize at the time that it was because my femoral artery was severed. And I also didn't realize how quickly you can bleed out from that. So I feel like I had a guardian. I know I had a guardian angel that came, because it was a guy that came and took his belt off and made a tourniquet on my leg right away. But even lying there in the street, one of my first thoughts was, oh, wow, I might have to train clients on crutches for a while. I had no idea that how drastically this was going to change the course of my life. You know, I was rushed to the hospital, and my husband was there. The room was full of cops, and it was chaotic. And there were so many cops there because my husband was a lieutenant commander for the highway patrol, and news with the brotherhood and sisterhood of the police force travels fast. And so a lot of friends were there, and it was the first time I ever saw my husband cry like that. And I mean, overwhelm. And I was strapped to the gurney, and I was scared because I thought, wow, I don't know if I'm going to live through this. Am I dying? And I yelled across the room, honey, get over here. I need you to be strong for me. And I needed to know that he was going to be able to take care of our daughters. We've got 2 girls. And that was the last thing I remember before they put me in induced coma. And when I woke up from a coma, the first thing I learned was I had a 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation. And I held on to that 1% chance. And that was my glimmer of hope that got me through eventually what is totaled to be 34 surgeries now. So months in the hospital. And for years, I was in and out of hospitals. I can tell you the hospitals that have the best food, the nicest views, because I've been in a lot of different hospitals, but it's taken a lot of grit. And by the grace of God, I can walk again. I can't run the way that I used to, but I can chase after my daughters again.
Wow.
And it's really changed my life in a way because I was told I'd be wheelchair bound forever. I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome, which is dubbed the suicide disease. There's no known cure. It's rated highest on the pain scale. It's a disease of the sympathetic nervous system where your body constantly feels pain. And so I went through a really dark time. And when I say dark, I mean, I didn't want to live anymore. And I was just too scared to die. And through that journey and finally accepting that, well, these are the cards I've been dealt, and we all have a choice. We can decide to play the heck out of those cards and live life to the fullest, no matter what happens, or we can give up. And I thought, I want to be an example of resilience for my daughters. And I want to be the wife that my husband married, but better, I want to work on myself every day. And through that process, it took me, I was at one point, I was on 73 homeopathic pills and 11 different prescription medications to try to treat the pain. Nothing was working. I couldn't suck it up anymore. I couldn't stuff down the pain. And that's the thing, I think pain demands to be heard. And if we don't, it comes out in every aspect of our life, in the way that we parent, in our careers, in the way that we love, in our relationships. It comes out in every way. And so through this journey, I've learned to really develop a mindset of resilience. And we all have that. We all have the ability to tap into our inner resilience. It's a never-ending well, a never-ending resource available to us. And so I've learned the hard way how to do that. And I want to teach people an easier, softer way to enjoy life, to find joy, and to go after your dreams no matter what. Because let me tell you, if I can go from nearly giving up and being in a hospital bed with bed sores and, having $2.9 million worth of medical expenses and a lien on our house, to sitting here with you and writing a best-selling book when I, didn't even think that that was possible at the beginning. It's like, I just had that passion in me. And I think that when we have a strong enough why and that passion, we can get through almost anyhow.
So just to get a little bit of context, how long ago did the accident happen?
Last month was 11 years ago that it happened. And so for years, I wasn't on social media. I wasn't sharing. I think it's really important to share from a scar instead of an open wound. And it took a long time. Sometimes if you look on Instagram, it can look like it's easy, or transformation is like snap of the finger. And I went, like the picture I posted on Instagram today is a picture of me in a coma and a picture of me today. And I say that, some days I still struggle, but fortunately, I know I have some tools. I have a community of people. And I think that's really important, is the power of community to get through those hard times.
Well, how old were your girls at the time?
My youngest daughter had just turned 2 the month before.
Wow.
And my oldest daughter was 15. So I had one daughter that I had never been separated from ever. And now suddenly I'm in a coma and I didn't get to see her for 2 weeks. And my oldest daughter she was going into high school. And that was such a hard time for her. But, and I didn't want my kids to see me like that. I didn't want them to have to feel like they had to take care of me. And my oldest daughter would spend the night with me in the hospital. And I remember laying in the bed and not wanting to wake her up to ask, to give her my bedpan. But I was like, but I have to wake her up. And I didn't want her to have to take care of me. But through this process, I have to say my youngest daughter in school, they gave awards for, perfect attendance or most school spirit. And she got an award for most empathy, which
Wow.
just touched my heart that, through this process, she has learned empathy. My oldest daughter just got accepted into Yale. And the reason she wants to be a doctor is going through this surgery after surgery with me, being in the hospital so much, and that there's no known cure for the disease that I have. It's really inspired her to go into the medical field. And so out of every tough situation, sometimes it's hard to see that there is hope or light at the end of the tunnel, or there are, possibilities that are good in front of us. But there are so many lessons to be learned, and there are so many incredible transformations or things that can happen from a tragedy that can be turned into a triumph.
I just want to put this out there just so people can understand this. Today is June 29th, and I encourage you to go read her post on Instagram today. We're going to give you all our social media links, but it's Amberlys Lago Motivation, right? Mm-hmm. That's your Instagram one. Because it's not only the pictures, it's the things you wrote in that post today that were so meaningful to me when I read that. And
Thank
so
you.
I encourage anyone to go read that. It's from June 29th, 2021. You've kind of hinted to some of these things, but I want you to go a little more for people that might be going through something that seems like it's never going to end, their tragedy that's never going to end. How do you find that light? You talked about finding your why, but when you're in the midst of it, how did you find your why and how did you get through that?
Thank you, first of all, for sharing with everybody who's listening to go look at that. And I hope that it gives them inspiration. Not only that, but some steps to do to get through some tough times. But I think purpose is so important. And I know that when I was stuck in a hospital bed, that I needed my clients more than they needed me. And so even though I was stuck in a hospital bed, I focused on what I could do in the moment, and I focused on getting through one day at a time. So I think it's important to have big, lofty goals and big dreams, but I also think it's important to have these small, attainable goals that you can achieve to get through a day and then celebrate that you did that small win. When I was lying in the hospital bed, if I would have thought or just focused on, well, I want to run again, it would have seemed impossible. My leg was held together with what's called a halo, which is metal rods. And I would look down at my leg I didn't know if today's the day they're going to amputate it. Am I going to make it through the next surgery? And what got me through each day was, first of all, prayer. I think there's power in prayer. I focused on my children, my husband, my family, and I wanted to be a victor instead of a victim. And so I focused on what I could do. And the doctors thought I was crazy because I was like, I need a pull-up bar installed over my bed and I need some dumbbells. And they were like, I remember the look on Dr. Wiss's face, like, okay, she's losing it. The reason I needed that is because for me, moving my body moves my mind. It moves your mood. And so I knew that I couldn't, even though I couldn't even stand up out of bed, I couldn't use the bathroom on my own. I couldn't do a lot of things. I focused on what I could do. And I could do pull-ups and I could keep my upper body strong. Now I wasn't doing that so I could get like these big muscles in the bed. I did it because of how it made me feel. It made me feel capable. It made me feel like I was moving in the right direction. So if you're listening right now and you're feeling stuck or you can't see that there's any good coming in the near future, I would say the first thing to do is to really focus on gratitude. And for me, gratitude changed my life. It really is alchemy. It shows you, the things you do have instead of what you don't have. And it gets you focused on what you can do instead of what you can do. And it's impossible to feel feelings of sadness when you're filled with gratitude. And that may sound like, oh yeah, like that works. I'm telling you it works, because I was laying in the bed and it was in the middle of the night and I'm staring down at my leg, and I would count down the minutes until the nurses would have to come in and change these bandages again, because my leg was completely open and exposed, and they would have to pull these bandages off my leg, and they would lift my leg up in the bed. And it was like re-breaking my leg every time, because it was crushed into pieces. And so I was watching this infomercial about how to get a Brazilian butt. And I remember thinking, I'll never have a Brazilian butt. What if I never walk again? What if there's all these gorgeous girls in bikinis, and I started comparing myself. I'll never look like that. What if I never wear a bathing suit? What if I can't chase after my daughters? What if my husband doesn't love me anymore? Like all these what ifs. And I thought that was the moment I thought, okay, I can continue going down this path of despair. And I grabbed my notebook. Somebody had brought me a little notebook. I didn't have a fancy, journal in the hospital. I grabbed my notebook and I started writing down everything I was grateful for, from the nurses, every nurse's name that came in to take care of me, my friends and my clients, my family that came in and brought me food, my mom that took off work and flew from Texas and stayed with me in the hospital in California. And I noticed the more that I focused on what I was grateful for, the better I felt, the more hope I had. And so I focused on getting through one surgery at a time, one day at a time. And that is how I got through some of the hardest challenges and moments of my life.
I was looking at your website and watching, and you're walking out on stage, and it just look, you're absolutely stunning, beautiful anyway, but you just look just glorious and beaming, and I'm like, it's hard to imagine you not being that way, because you really have overcome it so beautifully. And I think that what a huge inspiration that would be to anybody who is going through that, to go, you know what, I'm not going through anything anywhere near what she's gone through. And look at her now.
Well, thank you. And, I think that it's really important to connect with people who are passionate and inspired, and not just in real life, but on social media, and pay attention to who you're following. Does it lift you up? Do they inspire you? Do they show you what's possible? And for me, I want to show people that change is possible, that it's never too late. You're never too old. You're never too dumb. You're never too young, or, all the things that we tell ourselves. I know I do anyway. I have a inner critic that is pretty harsh and mean, and I have to tame that inner critic. But I want to say that, I started over my whole career. I was 38 when my accident happened. I was 43 or maybe 45, I think. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how old I was. No. Oh my goodness. I was almost 47 years old when my book came out and it became a bestseller. And the only reason it became a bestseller is I did have, the honor of being on the Today Show. Now, when I got a publisher that wanted my book, everybody was like, oh, you'll never write a book. You don't even own a computer. You're the fitness girl. You're the trainer. And I'm like, oh, really? Watch me. So when you ever have the naysayers,
challenge,
use that as motivation to like, really, I'm going to prove it to myself that I can do that. And my publisher was like, we don't do any marketing. So if you want to get your book out there, you're going to have to do that yourself. And so I had an Instagram page with maybe a few hundred followers, friends, and it was like posts of my daughter, our dog, nothing business wise. And it was basically to stalk my oldest daughter to see what she was doing on Instagram. And so I started sharing my story and just sharing, what I was going through. And over a year between the time my book came and the time, or I sent it to the publisher and at the time it actually published, I grew my Instagram I remember my goal was to try to get it to 10,000 because I wanted that swipe up feature. And I just learned to connect and learned how it works. And I'm still learning. And that's why there's always so much to learn, but I love to learn and I love to show other people how to do things because gosh, did I make a bunch of mistakes along the way, but boy, do we learn a lot of lessons from those mistakes.
How did the Today Show find you?
Well, it was crazy. So I had a publisher that wasn't a big publisher. They were a hybrid publisher. And so one of my clients was an editor. She used to edit for Shape magazine and Weeder. I don't even know if Weeder's still around. And so she was an editor and she's like, Amberly, your publisher is not great. So you need to really find a good publicist to vet your book. And so I really think everything happens for a reason. A friend of mine I was on a hike with, she was like one of the first people I let read my book. And I was so nervous to let her read my manuscript. And she's like, Amberly, we just got to get your book out there. It was really good. And we just got to figure out a way. I mean, you need somebody to get your book out there. And she goes, I have a friend that maybe she can help. And I called her and she's got my roommate in college is a publicist and I'm going to connect you with her. And so I had a phone call with her and she's like, yeah, we don't work with people that aren't from big publishers. And I can give you a little form that you can do this on your own. And I'm like, she was Muhammad Ali's publicist. And I was like, no, you're a badass. I want you. And she's like, well, I'll read your book. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be a New York Times bestseller, but I'll read it. And I was like, wow, I wasn't even thinking about being a New York Times bestseller. So thanks for that. She comes back and she goes, wow, your book was really good. Like she was surprised, like really surprised. And so I basically begged her to be my publicist. And she's like, look, I don't do any marketing on social media like that. She goes, I just connect you, to TV shows, blogs, podcasts. And she would just call me and she says, you say yes to everything. So I was writing blogs for websites. I was doing podcast interviews. I was posting every day and I was just saying yes to everything. And she calls me one day and she goes, are you sitting down? I'm like, yes. What do you need? What do you need? I was like, what do you need? She goes, I can't believe this, but the Today Show actually wants to interview you. Megyn Kelly wants to interview you. And I was like, Megyn Kelly? She goes, yeah, can you believe it? And I'm like, I couldn't even speak, and I'm sure she was like, I don't know how she's going to do on the Today Show. She can't even talk right now. You know what I mean? But it was like an opportunity of a lifetime. In fact, I did not know how to write when you're writing the book, it was my first book and you have to write the part about the author. And I was like, well, what do I write in that part? How do I write that? And so my husband and I were at we were at Costco. And we looked at all the books. They had this section of all these books at Costco. And I picked up Megyn Kelly's book. And I was like, wow, I'm going to buy her book and I'm going to see how she wrote about her in her book. So
and this is
I had bought her book.
So this is before you ever knew you were even going to.
This is like months before I knew. And I thought,
that's
wow,
huge.
Isn't that amazing that I looked at her book to guide me for how to write my bio part in my book. So when I got to the Today Show, she was incredible. And I asked the producer, I was like, do you think she'd sign her book? And he goes, oh yeah, she'll sign it. So I walked over to ask her to sign the book. And she's like, Amberly, no. She goes, you know what? I want your book to fly off the shelves. Go get your book. I have your book. Go get your book. We're going to take pictures. So she sat there, took pictures with me. She talked to my daughter, shook my daughter's hand. She talked to my husband. she was incredible. And it was one of the best days of my life to get to do that. And then from that, a producer heard me talk I was at a stage at some conference, and there was a producer of the Doctors TV, and she like came up to me after she heard me spoke, and she's like, I'm a producer for the Doctors TV. We'd like to have you. I'd love to like have you on our show. And I was like, really? And I wrote my email and phone number on a cocktail napkin and gave it to her. Because I'd just gotten off stage. Oh, yeah, here you go. Yeah, let me know. And so,
Wow.
I think that when you're in your calling, when you're answering your calling and you're passionate and you just don't give up and you do one step at a time, one day at a time, and you genuinely want to serve and you want to help and you want to change the world, and you're in alignment, that's when the universe conspires in your favor and things fall into place and the right people come along and the doors start to open. And I get to meet people like you. You and Jeff are just so amazing. And so if you've got big dreams, you're listening, I'm telling you right now, if it's a book you want to write, start writing it every day. Make time for you and your dreams because you're worth it.
I love that. That's a powerful
Yeah.
message. Will you share more about what the book is and just tell us more about the book itself?
Oh, yeah. It's called True Grit and Grace, and it's really a call to your resilience. I was inspired to write it because I wanted to give people the hope that I held on to. And sometimes all we need is that little bit of hope to keep us moving forward. So it's really to inspire people that no matter what your circumstances are, no matter, if things don't go as planned, that you can find joy, that you can have the life that you've always imagined. And so I wrote it as really just a way for people to, I share my experience, my strength and hope that I've learned along the way. And so you can find it on Amazon's probably the easiest, but I'm glad bookstores are open again, at your bookstore or at my website at amberlylago.com.
Speaking of bookstores, you guys did a virtual book tour. Are you going to start doing actual physical book tours? Like, are you coming to Phoenix anytime soon?
Oh, I would love to go to Phoenix. Actually,
Not this time of year, maybe.
And come to California and see me anytime. I did a book tour. I traveled all across the country. And I have to say that, my husband was so annoyed with social media when he thought I was like playing around on it. There is power in social media because these connections that I made and this tribe, this community and my friends that I've made on social media across every city in the United States sold out at every single bookstore.
Love it.
And that is the power of connection in social media. Because I was like, come give me a hug. I just found out I'm at Books and Books and there's a podium. I didn't know I was going to have to speak. So please come and fill these chairs and just come say hi to me, And so it was amazing. I got to hug people that I had been connected with, but I'd never met in person. And so it was really such an incredible experience. And so, now I'm glad you said that because I'm about to go back to North Carolina. I'm writing this down. When I go to cities now, a lot of times I'll call the bookstore. Once you sell out in one bookstore, and the first book signing, I sold out 3 times. They never buy books from the author. They're like, we sold out in 11 minutes. Do you have any extra books? And my husband went home and got boxes of books.
Wow.
He sold out of those. He went home again and we sold out of those. And I was not expecting that. I really wasn't expecting that, I had Googled, what do you do at a book signing? And they're like, walk around the store and talk to people. And so I got there 30 minutes early and I was setting up and I was going to go to the little Starbucks that was in the store. And there was already a line of people waiting. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, this is crazy. Wow. Oh, because as an author, a new author, I'm like, is anybody going to want to read this? People going to like it? Then I'm like, oh gosh, the PTA moms are going to know all my dirty secrets. Like they're going to know it all.
And love you even more for it.
I don't know, but they know all now. It's like, ooh, give them something to talk about.
That talking about the social media aspect of it, Chip, that you and I were on that virtual book tour with, same thing. I was out in Utah for my son-in-law's football game, and I was heading south and just happened to see Chip was heading to Salt Lake City for part of his book tour. And so I made a quick trip up to Salt Lake, and actually, because it was the first time I met him in person. So it is powerful. And I mean, he's been all over the place. So it's been good to see the support people have been given to these book tours. But, this has been incredible, Amberly. I could sit here and listen to you tell stories to us all day. And
yeah, seriously,
it's fun.
You're delightful.
Oh, thank you.
Will you share with our audience how they can follow you, where they can find you? And I know you've got a free gift that you can offer them as well.
Yeah. You know what? If you really want I could sit here and talk with y'all all day too. It's so awesome to be here with you. And if you're listening and you're like, but what are the tools? I need some tools. I have a downloadable workbook, and it gives the PACER method, which is what I teach. It stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. So you can just text the word GRIT, GRIT, to 818-214-7378. And you get your free downloadable workbook, but also just text me to say hello. And it's me. So sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to get back to people, but I really would love to hear from you. Reach out anytime. You can text me again. It's 818-214-7378. And I hang out mostly on Instagram at Amberlys Lago Motivation, and you can see some of our crazy behind the scenes things. Like we just went to this dam in Malibu, and I walked and danced on the ledge, and people were like, "You're crazy. You're going to fall over the dam." And so, but it's fun. So yeah. And then amberlylago.com. It's, you can find out a downloadable gratitude journal, upcoming events, and listen to my podcast called True Grit and Grace. And I love connecting with people. So please reach out.
Well, thank you so much. That is awesome. And I will have the links, and especially the links to the book, True Grit and Grace, in the show notes, so people can.
Thank you.
Sure
Jeff, Heidi, y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
I'm looking for entrepreneurs, athletes, coaches, and other high achievers who want to discover their full potential. Those that have dreams and desires of getting to the next level and just need to figure out how to get there. Hi, my name is Jeff Heggie. I'm a success coach, and I want to show you the truth about developing a powerful mindset. One of the biggest things holding people back from achieving their dreams is their own limiting beliefs. And the bad thing about limiting beliefs is they prevent you from discovering your true potential and cause you to settle for way less than you really deserve. I've seen this time and again in business, athletics, all areas of life. And worst of all, many people never get past the idea that achieving their biggest dreams in life is just that, a dream. But luckily, now there's a solution for this problem. So if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level, but it just hasn't happened yet, here's the solution you've been looking for. I want to introduce you to High Achievers Mindset Secrets. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed to help you gain control of your future, become absolutely clear on your goals and how you're going to achieve them. Discover the true potential of what you have within yourself and live every day with confidence. Intentionally live the life you desire, and much, much more. From day one, you'll be able to start implementing the strategies that will bring results into your life. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed specifically to meet your needs, and there's 3 options for you to choose from. First of all, there's the 6-module course. Over the course of these 6 modules, you'll learn the momentum cycle, the success cycle, and how to make them work in your favor. How to build confidence and self-belief. You'll learn to create clear goals, understand what you need to do to achieve them, and most importantly, you'll discover your why for each one. And I'll tell you now, it's not what you think. You'll learn the power of mindset questions, visualization, and having a vivid vision. You'll learn the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset and how you can change it. You'll understand the importance of proximity as power. You'll create personal development habits that lead to success. And you'll create your own personal success formula. You'll also learn the connection of mindset and mental health, the importance of state, modeling, and mindfulness, and so much more. The second option is the Academy. In the Academy, you get the full 6-module course, plus some specific, specialized one-on-one coaching. In the team program, it's designed for athletic teams, sales teams, executive teams, any team that wants to maximize its potential. Each person on the team will go through the 6-module course, and then there will be some group coaching specifically with me. So again, if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or any other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level and you're committed to making it happen, you know every day counts. You deserve to be living the life that you want on your rules. You deserve to achieve those dreams, start that business, win that championship, get recruited, whatever that is that you desire. There's never been a better time in history to make a change and take charge of your future. You work hard, you want it bad, you're committed to making it happen. Let's do it now. So get on board with the High Achievers Mindset Secrets, because I look forward to working with you.
Get more details at mindset.jeffheggie.com.